On your mark. Get ready. It's time to go the distance for sports news and sports review. Get ready. It's The Pitch.
Hello everyone and welcome to The Pitch. As always, I'm your host John Fox. Now we have Mike Peps Perrone and Mitch Sabbatelli on standby. They are our analysts as always. We tried it out last week during the Tom Brady episode, doing the pitch from home, from our own houses, instead of the actual studio, obviously, because we're in a quarantine right now. As everyone knows, with the corona outbreak and the spread of that. It's just really crazy times right now. Governor Baker issued a 14-day stay at home. I'm pretty sure it was like a 14-day till April 7th right now. So that's just some of the stuff us as Americans and people around the world are dealing with right now. But moving to our first topic of the day. So we talked a lot about the Patriots last week, losing Tom Brady to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We will start with the Patriots right now in their current quarterback situation. Jarrett Stidham is the expected starter with the Patriots right now. They re-signed Brian Hoyer. So Mitch, we're going to start with you today. Thoughts on the New England Patriots quarterback dilemma right now? Thoughts on their situation?
I think that Bill Belichick has a plan. I don't think that they went into this thinking that when Tom Brady left to go to Tampa Bay, that they weren't going to have any kind of option B at this point, whether it wasn't even an option B. Maybe it was their option A. We don't know. And I think with the fact that they have Jarrett Stidham, Devin McCourty said today that Jarrett Stidham has been great in practice last year, and he trusts Stidham. I do think that with Brian Hoyer coming in there, he knows the system. He's not going to be the starter, but he's really good with the practice, the B team, and for those day-to-day practices. And that's a lot more important than a lot of people give credit for. I think a lot of people think the backup just comes in whenever the guy gets hurt, but you have to deal with the practice squad. And I think Brian Hoyer is really, really good at that. So I do like that signing, and I think he comes and goes. Please, maybe he makes a team. If not, I would love to see them draft Jordan Love. I think I said that last episode with Tom Brady. I think he's the steal of the draft. And I think he shows the most promise for where he is valued. So I would love to see Jordan Love. I would hate to see Andy Dalton. With that said, I think Brian Hoyer gives a little bit of competition for Jarrett Stidham. I think he not only is going to give the competition, but he's going to give that, that push for him to be ready to be that starter. I think a couple games in there last year, he did struggle, but I gave him the experience. And Brian Hoyer is going to try to get him to be ready for the number one. If he's not, I think Belichick's going to draft somebody or get another veteran.
Perfect. Nice take, Mitch. On to you, Peps.
I think it's good to have the veteran presence in Hoyer there, just because you don't really have any other veteran presence in QB available. I think that Stidham is going to learn a lot from him. But also, let's remember, Hoyer was a huge factor in the Patriots beating the Rams, because he had faced that before in the past when he was with the Niners, and he knew what he was getting into, and he knew people from that team. And he apparently was a huge help in them beating the Rams and setting them up for that defense to have so much success, knowing that it's a similar offense that he ran when he was also available there. And when he was in San Fran's system, it was a very similar system to when the Rams are there now. So because of the coaching, but he was a big help in that. I think it'll be really good for him to get himself in a position to where he can help set up Stidham for a good future. I think Stidham is the guy they're going to go with. I think the only other thing that would make sense to me at this point, I don't think it's Cam Newton, and I honestly think the only logical move other than doing what they just did would be to make a trade for Jacoby Brissett, because he's backing up Phillip Rivers this year, which I understand why the Colts pay him $25 million to let Jacoby be the backup, but that's another issue. But I think that's the only other option in my mind, aside from draft a new prospect to come in and compete with Stidham and then both learn from Hoyer. But I mean, I think it's a good move for Hoyer. Obviously, he signed with the team, and he's so familiar with the team in his third stint. You know, I think it's good for him. I think it's good for the Pats to get a veteran presence in there because they lost that with Brady, and to get a familiar face in there will only make everybody more comfortable around him.
Okay. Nice take, Peps. We'll stay with you for this one, switching back and forth. You just touched upon it briefly. Longtime Charger Phil Rivers goes to the Colts on a 1-year deal. Thoughts on this one, Peps?
Everybody knows I love Philip Rivers.
That's your boy right there.
That's my boy, man. But I think it's a bad move. I think Irsay had a force on this one. I'm surprised the same guy who pushed out Peyton Manning in his early 30s brings in a 37-year-old veteran. It's like this guy is so all over the map organization that we just don't know where he's going to go. And I'm honestly, it concerns me to see him doing that because Jacoby Brissett, I think, can be a capable starter. And it's almost like he's not willing to give him the chance. Plus, with T.Y. Hilton being hurt for like almost half the season last year, you're not really giving Brissett much of an opportunity there. And I think it's a waste of $25 million personally, as much as I love Philip Rivers personally. And I love the way he plays and his intensity. But, I mean, I don't think it's a good move for the Colts. I think it's one of the worst moves made in free agency. I think, honestly, you paid him the same that Brady's getting for a year in Tampa. And why wouldn't you go for Tom Brady at that point if you're going to give Phil Rivers, who hasn't won an AFC championship, an opportunity to go play for your team? Why not give Brady, who apparently had interest in the Colts, give him his opportunity and sign him for 2 years? Like, it just didn't make sense to me. It didn't seem like a good fit. And I think it's going to backfire. I think Brissett's going to eventually become the starter. I think Rivers' turnovers, I think are going to continue his issues. And I think I think he's going to psych himself out of the spot, and it's going to go back to Kobe like 6 games in.
Well,
Mitch,
I appreciate that tape, but I couldn't disagree anymore. I think the fact with Tom Brady, Giselle came out and said that she wanted to play in somewhere nice, and somewhere nice is not Indianapolis. I understand there was some kind of a correlation there, but now that Josh McDaniels turned that thing down, I think Josh McDaniels probably knows what's going on with the Colts or whatever. He told them it's not a great city. Everyone knows that Indianapolis is a really desirable place for two, superstars to be living and raising their children. I think they wanted to live in Florida. Jack is living in Florida, their son with Bridget Moynihan. I think Florida was the way to go. I think he was waiting to see if the Chargers were going to offer the same amount, and the Buccaneers gave him the farm, and he went with the team that was going to give him the fresh start. I think with Indianapolis, I think at this point they're just trying to sell seats. I like what you said, Pep said they didn't give Jacoby Brissett enough of a chance, but in the same aspect, I don't think that Jacoby Brissett really is going to be a franchise starter in any franchise. So yeah, you can give him the chance, and yeah, you can say that, hey, let's, Jacoby Brissett's only in a couple games, a couple of years under his belt and grow. But I think his trajectory is to be a really good backup in this league, maybe a fringe starter. He's not going to be – they really got screwed over by the whole entire, tagging with Peyton Manning and then having Andrew Luck to come in, and then Andrew Luck getting the concussions and retiring earlier. That was their plan to be quarterback. He should have been their quarterback for another 5-6 years, and they really got hindered by that. And I think Jacoby Brissett was a great stopgap, and I think he can continue to be. Like you said, Philip Rivers is old. If he struggles, then they have a great guy to come in and really take over the reins and have a chance to still make the playoffs, especially with an extra wild card team. But I do think that with Philip Rivers, I think the more I think about it, and yeah, you said it was $25 million, which is a lot of money. It's only for 1 year, and it's not going to cover the cap space that much with that 1 year cap penalty. I think it's a good move considering it brings fans to the seats.
Yeah, I think have one more thing in there. I wasn't really saying that Brady should be looking to go to Indy. I'm saying, I think Indy's ownership made a poor decision to not try to go after Brady.
Yeah, that's true.
You're going to pay that guy that much money, 37 years old.
Well, we don't know. Do we know that they were really going? We don't know, but I hear that too.
True.
Before we move on, I just have to chime in on this one. ESPN I'm very sure, I'm like 100% sure that they said that the Phil Rivers to the Colts was the most underrated signing of the whole year so far. I'm like, no.
Also, as far as market, I think they can market that. They can market Phil Rivers over there in Indy. So it's two different things. I think they're thinking that. But I hear what you're saying. He's not going to put them over the top. Phil Rivers is very overrated.
Oh, he's awful. He's awful. The person with the most catches is going to be the opposing defense on this one. I mean, don't. Okay, all right. Moving on. Teddy Bridgewater signs with the Carolina Panthers, 3 years, $63 million. The first 2 years, $40 million is guaranteed. They're moving on from Kyle Allen. They're moving on from Cam Newton. Thoughts on this move? We'll go with you on this one to start off, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kyle Allen, he had a quick flash. He had a couple good games. I think he projects to be a really good backup in this league. He's not a franchise quarterback, and I do think they're making the right move to move on from him. Cam Newton, they were kind of in a stronghold. He had a really good year a couple of years back when he won that MVP. Ever since then, he's kind of been on a downward trajectory, and also I feel like mentally he hasn't been there. There's something a little off there, and we don't really know what that is. I just feel on the outside looking in, maybe that is just his personality, but I feel like he just doesn't have the same it's kind of like the Kyrie Irving type of deal where he kind of have his whole head into the game in this aspect. And I think they're going to move on. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a great get. I think he did really well, very underrated last year when Drew Brees went down and people thought that the Saints weren't going to continue in their same really winning record, and he came up there. He won all those games. I think he's a really good player. He's a really good combination of being that game manager, but also can unleash to a big pass here and there. And I think, with these new guys, especially, he's going to play really well with Christian McCaffrey. You got the athletic running back with Christian McCaffrey, as well as the athletic quarterback. It's really going to work as a nice duo. And I think it's going to be a little bit more modernized version of Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton was good for their system when they had Jonathan Stewart, a little bit slower back. They have Christian McCaffrey's the face there, and now Teddy Bridgewater knows how to take the face of the franchise and be that kind of Robin to Christian McCaffrey's Batman. I think that's really going to work out for them. And I really like the Teddy Bridgewater signing. He did get a lot of money, although I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it to take the risk right now.
Perfect. Peps, your take.
I think it's great for Teddy Bridgewater. I think it's finally, to be honest, a contract that he has deserved for a while. I feel like there's someone I really would have loved to see the Patriots go after. Yeah. Because it almost seemed like it's almost like they're trying to build, and this is obviously receiver pending, I feel like, as well. It's almost like it seems like they're building sort of like a Ravens-style deal that they're going to try to build a little bit with a guy like Teddy Bridgewater, Jim McCaffrey. He can catch passes. He can run straight through. He's an unbelievable asset. I think it's going to be also the fact that you want a quarterback that can run like Teddy Bridgewater, because then you have the threat of him running, him passing it down the field. I obviously think they need a couple more weapons over there in Carolina. They don't got much going on in the passing game. I think they could get DJ Morris, solid. Samuel's a gadget guy, but I think they're another couple of weapons away. And I think that it's going to be good for Teddy. I think it's good for the Panthers organization to move on from Cam, who's clearly banged up, and they must have seen something wrong with him to where they don't believe he's a franchise quarterback anymore. Plus the money on top of it, they don't have any reason to hold on to him any longer. Plus Kyle Allen was a pocket guy. He was never really going to be a guy that was going to run around the field and create opportunities with the being a threat for his legs and hold the defense a little bit. I think Teddy's a good fit for a nice rebuild for Carolina in the next few years. And I think he's going to have I think they're going to have some playoff runs down the line. Not right now, anytime in the next 2 years, but maybe down the line when that starts to open up a little bit, when Breeze goes, and then, say Matt Ryan gets a little bit older and see what happens with him. And Brady's then gone in Tampa at that point. See, maybe he could then build up for the next. I think they're looking 3 years down the line here. Overall, I think if it works out, Bridgewater, they're going to give him more money and keep him longer. But I think it's a good restart for this team that they desperately needed.
Perfect. Moving on. Nick Foles headed to the Chicago Bears. Thoughts on this one, Mitch?
Well, it's interesting because obviously, Trubisky was the big guy. They moved up and got Trubisky to trade all those picks to get him. And it's not their fault. Well, it is their fault, but it's not. Hindsight's 2020. When you have Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson over them, obviously, if they knew that they were as good as they were, and they should have done a little bit more research there. But Trubisky did really well in college, and it looks like they're kind of moving on here. I think Nick Foles. He ran into some bad luck with the Jaguars. Really early in the first game, he got the injury, and then there was that whole Gardner Minshew mania, which is more of a fanfare than actual production. I think Minshew did really well. I think he really, established that chemistry with TJ Shark early, and I think he can be really good. It's going to be interesting to see if that second year, if he actually can develop on that same production, or if that was just a flash in the pan, maybe a Jeremy Lin type deal where, he had a good couple months there and then kind of falls back. Because nobody really thought that Gardner Minshew was actually going to be that good. And Nick Foles, he did, obviously that contract is solely based on his big win against the Patriots. And, he's had some success after that, beating the Bears themselves the year after. I think it's a good move for the Bears. I think he gives them some stability. I think the Bears haven't had stability for quite some time. Even going back to the Jay Cutler days, they've always had that gunslinger, the Rex Grossmans, the Mitch Trubisky's, the Jay Cutlers, the all-or-nothing type quarterbacks, mostly nothing. Now you have Nick Foles, who knows how to do make the right play, and I think it's a safe bet. He's going to battle against Mitch Trubisky. Not necessarily mean that Trubisky's gone, but it also lights a fire under him that says, "Listen, we're not completely sold on you, so we're going to need this guy. This guy's a Super Bowl MVP, and maybe he could be our quarterback going forward. So we need you to step up in preseason."
Peps, thoughts on Nick Foles?
I think it's a great move for the Bears, honestly. I think their biggest issue was the fact that Trubisky was afraid to throw downfield. I think it was part of that, but I think also Matt Nagy did not trust him to throw the ball down the field, which is why he got a guy like Nick Foles. Because Nick Foles is not afraid to sling the ball, and Matt Nagy is an offensive-minded guy. You saw what he did with Kansas City, and with Andy Reid's team, with the offense, with the year before, and I just think that they need to bring in a quarterback that's going to lead this offense. I don't think Trubisky was mentally confident enough to do so, and I think he felt, which rightfully so, that he shouldn't be trusted. I think Matt Nagy came in there, thought Trubisky, said, "I'll give this kid a chance." Saw, he's not getting the job done, and he's getting hurt. He's making excuses pretty much to come out of the game because he doesn't trust himself. You're going to get a guy in there who's confident, who has won before, who has the opportunity to do it, just turning around the corner at 30 years old. And I think he can do it. I think Foles will be good for that team. They'll throw the ball down the field. I think they're a solid, straight-ahead power running back away from being a solid playoff team. And I think that's what they're going to need because they just keep packing on that defense, man. So, I think it's great for Foles. I think it's great for the Bears. I think Matt Nagy's going to have a nice downfield pass offense that he hasn't had in the last few years. Because Trubisky hasn't been shown he can do that. The Bears are one of the least scoring teams in the league, and their offense has been brutal over the last couple of years with Trubisky at the helm. So I think Trubisky is just destined to be a backup man for the year, and I think as long as Foles is healthy, he's going to run that offense, and I could see that team being a 10-16 easily and making a playoff and a wild card spot. I think it's a great move, and I think they need that quarterback that's going to lead this team. And Trubisky's not the guy in my mind. I don't think he ever has been.
No. Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that one, Peps. Definitely do. All right, moving on, but we'll stay with you for this one, Peps. The Texans. The Texans trade DeAndre Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals for David Johnson out of nowhere. This one happened. Thoughts on this one, Peps? This just came completely out of nowhere.
This is an issue of you take a guy and you have ownership, and they have no idea really what they're doing personnel-wise. So you give the power to a guy who believes his name is Bill Belichick, and you think that it's a great idea to let him be your GM and coach. So we're going to give him the power to make trades, and he's made some extremely suspect trades. And that actually is by far the worst move made so far. You have traded a top 2 receiver in his late 20s, entering his prime, in an offense where your second receiver is not on the field half the time because he's always hurt. Will Fuller is always hurt.
Yeah.
Flying him to be your number 1. Kenny Stills, he's always hurt too. I mean, what are you doing? You grab David Johnson, hurt. I mean, are you trying to make Deshaun Watson leave? Because that's exactly what's going to happen if you keep making moves like this. And I think this is a straw that breaks the camel's back. I think after this year, Watson's out. I don't know where he's going, but I think he's going to be.
Patriots.
I think he's out in general. But, I mean, I will say I think it's a horrible move for Bill O'Brien. I'll tell you right now, if he didn't win that Bills game, he would have been fired. And he should have been fired the second he made a move like this, because this is a disgrace to the organization. What they built off of is DeAndre Hopkins is the face of your franchise. You cannot get rid of it with Deshaun Watson. You know what I mean? Like, that's an unbelievable combination, a quarterback-receiver combo, and you just lost your chance at a playoff spot this year. I think Bill O'Brien is kicking himself right in the teeth right now, and I think it's going to hurt him in the long run. I think he's going to inevitably get fired halfway through the season when this team picks to start, and I think it's going to be all his fault, and he's going to get exactly what he deserves. It's an example of giving someone too much power when they didn't deserve it because you don't know what you're doing as ownership from top to bottom, and I think it's going to blow up in the face. It was a horrible trade for a running back that hasn't been good in 3 years. He's been hurt all the time, and got outplayed by Kenyon Drake. So, I mean, I think it's a terrible move for the Texans, a great move for the Cardinals. They're going to have Hopkins, they're going to have Fitz, they're going to have Kirk, they're going to have Drake, and they got a plethora of weapons right now, and they got Murray, who's going to probably be what I believe to be this year's version of Lamar Jackson coming up in year 2 for him. They're going to be firing the ball down the field in Kingsbury's high-flying offense. I think it's a great move for them, and the worst move that the Texans could have ever made, aside from going for it on 4th and 2 from their own 30 against the Chiefs, which was a horrible move itself. Anyways, that should have summed up the line. Absolute trash.
Well, there's a lot to unravel there. I will say, I do like what you said, Peps, about Bill O'Brien. I think they gave him a lot of power early in this whole thing. You know, what you said about Bill Belichick, well, he thought he, the same name as Bill Belichick there, and they gave Bill Belichick that GM, 10 years down the line. Bill O'Brien, they gave him the GM, 2 years into it. That wasn't appropriate. I think that his success with the GM spot has been terrible, like you said. I think he makes a lot of moves, like fantasy moves. I think they make a lot of mental moves where it's like, all right, I got an argument with DeAndre Hopkins, I'm going to try to move him. The same thing, last year when they tried to make the move and got Laramie Tunsil. Same thing when they moved Jadeveon Clowney, stuff like that. I think it's all kind of out of spite in that aspect. But I think what the thing is with the Texans, I think the Titans really benefited here. I think they have a better shot at winning that division now with Ryan Tannehill back there and Derrick Henry. I do still think that the Texans have a shot, but like you said, I think Will Fuller is one of the most injury-prone wide receivers in the entire game. So when you have Will Fuller and Kenny Stills, I think it benefits Kenny Stills on a fantasy aspect, but in real life, I think they need another guy who can go out there and make a real good catch when you need something down, third down. A lot of people think that, Watson to Hopkins, he never misses a ball. There's another thing. He has that Gronkowski effect where he demands a double team, and now you don't have that. Now Will Fuller is going to be the guy double team, and Will Fuller is not going to ever be able to get that spacing. So there's really no other option there, and Watson's going to be pissed. Now you go to the Cardinal side of the things. I like what you said about Cliff Kingsbury. He's going to be completely on an air raid attack for the offense. I think now with Kyler Murray in his second year, you see the trajectory with Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. That second year is a big one. And with the same thing happened to them, didn't happen to Baker Mayfield, but usually it works out pretty well. And now when you have Larry Fitzgerald as second option and throw in Christian Kirk as the slot guy, and Larry Fitzgerald must be really, really excited about this because now you have DeAndre Hopkins out there on the outside. I think he's going to be catching a lot of balls. I love what they did for Arizona. David Johnson, I don't know what this deal was. I know they got a second-round pick too, but they could have easily shipped out DeAndre Hopkins for a first-round pick anywhere else. And David Johnson is he's washed up at this point. He's that prototype running back where they have a really good couple of years and start to fade away. I love it for the Cardinals and hate it for the Texans.
All right, so bad news. We only have about 2 minutes left. We're going to stay with you on this one. A lot of information to grasp. A lot of, at least the NFL, signings have kept us alive during this quarantine period. All right, Todd Gurley, rapid fire. Todd Gurley goes to the Falcons. Thoughts?
I love it.
Quick.
I think he's only going to be there for $6 million. Todd Gurley is not the same Todd Gurley he was a couple years ago. But giving him the $6 million, it's a prove himself contract. What do the Atlanta Falcons have to lose? They're facing against a team that now has Tom Brady. They're facing Drew Brees in that same division. You might as well have some firepower added to Matt Ryan, kind of take a little bit of pressure off of him. Devontae Freeman was kind of a long in the tooth. Bringing Todd Gurley, you'll like it. It's a nice boom for the buck.
Great, yeah.
Peps.
It's a great move for the Bucs. I think Gurley still's got some juice left. He showed it late in the season. I think the Rams are foolish to just cut him like that. It's put more pressure on Goff and that offense downfield. And I think they're going to take another step back. I think if they don't fix that problem at running back. I mean, maybe Malcolm Brown could be the answer, but who knows? I think Gurley's a great sign for the Falcons, though.
They gain a lot of money there by letting him go, but yeah, I agree.
All right, Peps, Melvin Gordon to the Broncos. Quick thoughts. 1 minute.
I think it's more of a revenge factor for Gordon because the Chargers wouldn't pay him. He wants to go face them twice now. They're pretty much saying, like, I'm better than Eckler, and I should have been your guy, and I know it. I think it's good for him. I don't know how good it is for the Broncos. I mean, I think it's good for them with Sutton. Now you got a guy who can, run the ball straight through and be a reliable running back with Phil Lindsay to pair. But I don't know how good it's going to go for them. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think it's very good for Melvin Gordon. I think he's going to have a big impact, but I just don't think the team's good enough offensively for that to be a big enough move.
Yeah, I think it's big on the offensive line here. I think, like what Pep said, I think he's definitely an upgrade over Royce Freeman. Phillip Lindsay isn't the answer long term. So you might as well take a chance on Melvin Gordon, open the field up for Sutton. Like Pep said, he goes up against a team, his team that he's leaving, a little bit of a revenge factor. And you might as well try to get some fan intrigue over there in Denver. It's going to be another bad season for them.
Great. Perfect take, guys. So that will play us out right now. That is all. That's all we have for this episode of The Pitch. A pretty jam-packed episode. Again, NFL is keeping us alive right now during this whole coronavirus epidemic. So until next time, stay safe out there, everyone. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, anything that we have. So until next time, guys, stay safe out there.